What's going on, people? Machiavelli Mills TV. So look, I always see this common question, like basically put out in the Twitter or the social media atmosphere in the boxing world, right? People always ask, why does the Ldbc support Errol Spence Jr. so heavily and not Terence Crawford as much, right? And the answer to that is simple. One individual, Errol Spence Jr., he recognized what the black boxing media, like the black boxing media, like especially on YouTube and stuff, what they did for his career. I remember doing when Errol Spence was up and coming. Channels like 7A Sports TV, Black Fight Fan, Barbershop Conversations were heavy advocates of Errol Spence Jr., right? They were always speaking of him, a blue blood, so on and so forth. They were always talking about him. They were trying to get their own supporters to basically support Errol Spence Jr. fights, telling you to buy the pay-per-views. They were going to the fights to cover them. They were basically just trying to convince everybody to support that young brother in his career as he was trying to ascend, right? Errol Spence Jr. remembers that, and he basically pays it forward by giving them interviews, by, not all the time talking to them every single day, but giving them interviews, coming on their platforms, speaking with them when they basically ask. And it is what it is. Terence Crawford, the Ldbc did the same thing for Terence Crawford at a time where Crawford was not really talked about as the way he should have been by mainstream boxing media, by the old media in boxing. He wasn't really heaped with a lot of praise during his time in his career when he was at 140 and he was making great waves at 140 and stuff like that. Even when he was at 135, right? People weren't really discussing him the way that they were supposed to. The Ldbc were covering him at great lengths. They were showering him with praise. They were basically, applauding his ability, so on and so forth, trying to tell people to watch his fights, telling people to pay for his pay-per-views. They were paying for his pay-per-views, so on and so forth, and giving him the same type of love and the same type of support. However, they felt that support wasn't reciprocated the way Errol Spence Jr. reciprocated that love and support, right? When Terence became a fighter who was recognized worldwide as a pound-for-pound great, during that time period, Terence Crawford, when Ldbc tried to get him to speak with them, he would send his little mans over to them. He would not interview with them. He would not speak with them. He would not talk with them, right? Now, I don't know if he felt like he was slighted at some point, but I remember during that time period, there was nothing but praise for Terence Crawford at all. All they were doing were praising Bud. Bud didn't want to speak with them. He didn't want to talk to them. He didn't feel like giving them interviews. He would send his little man to talk to them or whatever. And the Ldbc felt like, they felt shunned, like, damn. I'm not saying you got to talk to me every single day. I'm not saying you got to give me a 50-minute interview. You don't even have to talk to me for 5 minutes. But to just completely say, oh, no, I ain't rocking with it, I'm going to send my little mans over there. They feel like, damn, we were the ones supporting you and covering you and basically showing you love when the mainstream boxing media was not wanting to talk about you. They were not willing to cover you. They were not giving you the praise and the recognition they should have been giving you. But the black boxing media on YouTube, such as the Ldbc conglomerate, they were the ones giving him love, him as well as Errol Spence Jr., as well as Deontay Wilder, so on and so forth. The Charlo twins, they were doing the same thing with the Charlo twins too, before the Charlo twins switched up and started going off, getting off cold or whatever, right? So when Bud didn't want to talk to them and didn't want to reciprocate that, it was like, damn. And I would feel some type of way too, man. If I'm really supporting you and I'm coming to your events, coming to fights at times, Fred, I believe, was coming to fights. They were buying the pay-per-views and covering him and, telling people to check him out and so on and so forth. And I'm doing that. And then you kind of just like shunning us every single time we try to talk to you. However, when I can see if Bud did that to all boxing media platforms, but when it comes to the mainstream, the mega big platforms, he was running and talking to them. He was going to Joe Rogan. He was going to the Breakfast Club because he felt like they could do something for him. I'm assuming he felt like that was a good look for him. But the outlets that he probably felt like he was going to sway. But, he wouldn't talk to Fred or 7A Sports TV or Black Fight Fans, so on and so forth. He wouldn't talk to none of them. You know what? And they like, damn. We were the ones telling everybody to rock with you. We was the ones really, and supporting you. That we were the ones that were champion, where we were, you were a champion, but we were uplifting you we We were uplifting you within your champion status. And he didn't want to show that love. It felt like Bud was only going to media outlets that he felt like could do something for him. Or they could give him a certain look. And I would feel a certain type of way about that. Like, damn, I got to be able to get something. Like, I got to be able to put you in another type of realm in order for you to talk to me. Like, I wouldn't rock with that. If Bud was consistently not talking to all the black, if he was not, even all the black, if he was consistently not talking to all these different media outlets, none of them, then it would feel different. But for them, it felt like, damn, you know, that felt bogus. That felt wrong. And I'll feel the same way if I'm out here rocking with you, supporting you so heavy and you kind of shunning me, right? Then let's talk about this. Errol Spence Jr. is a young man. Now, although y'all see him y'all seen him, especially before the car accident at the clubs, y'all seen him partying and so on and so forth. He's a man that always displayed knowledge of self, which the Ldbc can see some of themselves in him. Errol acknowledges his blackness, him being an African-American man who is of Jamaican descent by way of his father. His mother's African-American woman. He recognizes his blackness. He speaks about the fact that he's not afraid to talk about. He stands in his blackness unapologetically, right? He talks about how he feels like black fight fans need to support black fighters. How he feels like, you know what, our people go against the grain too much. How we need to support our own the same way the Mexican community, the Filipino community did with Manny Pacquiao. The Mexican fan base does it with their fighters. The Puerto Rican fan base does it with their fighters. He felt like the black fight fans need to be the same exact way and support their fighters and not go against the grain, so on and so forth. He speaks about, even in the heat of battle, right? Not even in battle, in the bickering back and forth with the camp with Terence Crawford's camp and his camp, right? Bomac made the statement and said, basically, that he is not going to watch Errol Spence Jr. fight. He'll stream it. I ain't buying that. I ain't buying that fight. I ain't watching that shit. I ain't buying that shit. I'll stream it or whatever. When they told Errol Spence Jr. that Bomac, Terence Bud Crawford's trainer, said he would stream his fight, he ain't paying for no Errol Spence Jr. fight. They asked Errol, so would you stream Terence Bud Crawford's fight? And he said, no, I'm going to buy his fight. I'll buy it. I support black fighters. That's what it means to be on code, right? And despite, you know, people talking about Errol's past being a drinker, so on and so forth, one thing I can never deny about the fact is that, you know what? That brother stands in his blackness. And even at moments where, you know, people may think that, even in moments where, oh, I got a rivalry with somebody, I can still be on code within this rivalry. I don't have to be off code because I got a fighting rivalry with another fighter. I can still be on code with that. And that is commendable. And I would say that Errol Spence Jr.'s parents raised him the correct way with the fact, you know, I see the Khalid Muhammad tattoos, and tattoos don't mean anything. But those things, the gestures that I said, Errol Spence Jr. talking to them, speaking with them, going on Fred, the Barbershop Conversation platform, calling in, giving Fred like an hour and a half worth of content, just talking to him, chopping it up, giving him exclusive access because he knows that Fred and them being the ones supporting him when before he was IBF champion, when he was trying to get the Kell Brook fight, when he was trying to fight Keith Thurman, they were the ones out there, you know, supporting him, and he recognizes that, and so he reciprocates that energy. That's why they rock with that brother. Now, this isn't to say that Terence Bud Crawford is not a pro-black individual. It does not mean that he doesn't have knowledge of self, because Terence Bud Crawford, he's with a black woman, with the same black woman that he's been with before he was a fighter, so on and so forth. That's highly commendable and respectable because he values the black family. That's for sure. That's strong all the way through and through. However, when they see Bud not want to talk to them and not want to speak to them, and they feel like he turning his nose up at them, they look at that funny, like, how could you look at us like that? And we was the ones out here rocking with you. We was the ones speaking up for you. We was the ones and their voice being little. Like, how could you not really want us to reciprocate that energy back to us? And we was the ones championing you, right? Especially in a climate where is YouTube money out here to be made. Me personally, if I was a fighter and I see young black men out here trying to get it out the mud, even whether it's a phone camera or a Canon camera, I know that they're trying to do something productive. It's harder for them to try to ascend to the top ranks of this media world, this media field. As a black man, and I see them supporting black fighters, I'm gonna rock with that black brother that's trying to get something popping, that black sister that's trying to get something popping. Now, Bud does talk to what's her name? Ms. Boxing, shout out to her. He speaks to her, but the other black media outlets, he really don't talk to like that, right? And then maybe people like, oh, some people were looking like, well, Bud can't have anything against black boxing media if he went to talk to Ms. Boxing. But they like, well, maybe he got a personal relationship with her where it's different, right? But they like, well, he went to the Breakfast Club, a black media outlet. But it's like everybody knows if you go to the Breakfast Club, that's a look for you. That's the biggest, the biggest radio show across America as far as hip hop is concerned. That's the biggest radio show, period, for hip hop and black entertainment and the black media field. That's the biggest platform to go to. So that was a look for him to go there, right? On the other hand, Errol Spence Jr. went to the Breakfast Club, but he still speaks to Trill, Black Fight Fan. He still talks to Barbershop Conversations. He acknowledges Champside. He acknowledges Blue Blood and so on and so forth. He talks to those media. He acknowledges them, and he's willing to reciprocate that energy back. And so they hold that near and dear to their heart because they just out black men trying to get it out the mud and trying to do something to make some money in a lane that's not dominated by black people. So they're like, okay, we want the love back from our black fighters that we support. So you see Deontay Wilder talking to them, giving them interviews, talking to them candidly for hours and hours. He talked to Blue Blood. He talked to Black Fight Fan. He talked to 7A Sports TV. He's willing to talk. He goes and give Fred exclusives because Errol Spence Jr. and Deontay Wilder are black men that are on code, and they recognize the struggle of black folks trying to get out here and get it out the mud. And they recognize that those black dudes that are in the Ldbc conglomerate, those are the ones that were bigging them up before they were even champions. 7A Sports been talking about Deontay Wilder before he was WBC champion, before he was on the radar of all these different people across boxing world, the boxing world and community in America. Before Deontay Wilder was a household name in America, 7A Sports TV was rocking with him. Barbershop Conversations was rocking with him, right? They was the ones building him up. Blue Blood TV, that was the ones supporting him when he wasn't getting the look he was supposed to get. You know what I'm saying? Before he was anybody, before he was the champion, they was rocking with him. So, of course, they're going to rock with Errol Spence Jr. over Bud when you look at it like that, because Errol Spence is reciprocating the energy that they put into him, that they gave out to him. He's reciprocating the love that they gave out and the support that they gave out to him. Errol Spence Jr. reciprocates that, as well as Deontay Wilder. That is why they walk in lockstep with those brothers, because those brothers are on code and they recognize the fact that those black brothers and sisters, because it is women in the Ldbc too, those black brothers and sisters was rocking with them before mainstream media was talking about them, or when mainstream media refused to give them the props they deserve. Those black media members on YouTube, those, whether they big or small in the Ldbc, they were the ones out there rocking with them. And Deontay Wilder and Errol Spence Jr. get that love back. They not feeling that love. Bud give them the cold shoulder. That's where it comes from. That's what somebody, they like, oh, how can they talk about another black man like Bud? Well, when you feel like the black man that you've been supporting and rocking with for years have been shunning you and giving you the cold shoulder, and you've been buying their fights, you've been going to their fights, you've been telling everybody on your channel to support them and help line, you're basically trying to help line their pockets with money in a way, whether people see it on a grand scale or not. I watched them tell their followers to support Terence boy Crawford, to watch Crawford's fights. I've seen them cover the fights. I've seen them pay for pay-per-views and do live streams of the fights. And Bud's still like, well, fuck them. You know, so that's why they feel like that, man. And I can't blame a man if they feel like that, man. That's warranted, honestly. If you're asking me, it's warranted. You know, especially these black media outlets on YouTube trying to make a name for themselves. It's hard out here to get buzzing in YouTube. I've been doing this YouTube thing since 2017. I only got 5,000 some subscribers. So, you know, some people got to do reaction type stuff or get a big interview from a fighter in order to blow and buzz. And they feel like, you know what, we trying to make it. So we would hope that the guys that we helping to line their pockets with money would just reciprocate it for at least 2 to 3 minutes, maybe 5 minutes. Just talk to us, give us a little something, give us something so we can go ahead and do something with and help our family out too, the way we trying to help you help your family, ultimately, right? Now, granted, the YouTubers can't get into the ring and do what Terence Bud Crawford and Errol Spence Jr. do. They're special one-of-ones. But at the same time, if I'm using my audience to tell them to support you, I want that love to be reciprocated in some type of way. You ain't got to talk to me every day. You ain't got to kiss my ass. You ain't got to give me an hour. You ain't got to give me 30 minutes. You ain't got to give me 20 minutes. You ain't got to give me 10. Can you give me 2 or 3 or 5, just a moment, instead of sending your little man to talk to me? That's why the Ldbc supports Errol Spence the way they do in Deontay Wilder and not Terence Crawford. It's not that they don't care about that black man and, oh, he's a rival of Errol. They didn't give a fuck. Even when people were first talking about them being rivals, they still was rocking with both of them and still loving and supporting both of them equally. Errol and Terence Crawford, right? They were still rocking with them young black brothers and still advocating for them to win and be successful. It wasn't until Bud started giving them the cold shoulder and not rocking with them and basically acting like he didn't want to talk to them and then fucking with the big mainstream medias over them, is when they felt some type of way. And I'm going to feel some type of way if I'm a black man and I've been lining your pockets with money and I've been telling everybody to rock with you and buy your pay-per-views, and you go run to Joe Rogan and them and not come talk to me. Like, damn, I'm not big enough for you to talk to? Like, I'm going to feel, I would feel that type of way. You know what I mean? Whether you feel like, oh, it's whole shit or it's not manliness or it's feminine to do that. Nah, man, they were warranted in that, man. And that's being real. Machiavelli Mills TV, y'all let me know what y'all think about this this video in the comment section below. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. I'm out. Peace.